So here's my audience. Yeah, and my camera. Yeah. Okay. Imagine that it's Sunday morning. You're walking down the street with your family. You're going to church. It's a lovely morning. The birds are singing. It's sunny. And after a while, you come across this huge image on a wall. This image is a graffiti picture of a half-nude woman. You might stop and think to yourself, this is so inappropriate, this is crude. Why would someone vandalize a public space? Well, what if I told you that a person that made this image was Leonardo da Vinci or Michelangelo? Would you still consider it to be vandalism, or would you consider it to be art? I consider it to be art. So today I'm going to explain why as a society we can appreciate graffiti. I'm going to debunk misconceptions about graffiti, explain the motives for why people do it, and recognize cultural contribution it makes to society. So firstly, I'm going to debunk some misconceptions about it. One misconception, which is my personal favorite, is that graffiti is gang related. Well, typically, graffiti, like gang related graffiti, is typically them just writing their gang name on a wall to tell opposing gangs that it's their territory, or to tell us as a public to not go into those places because they are dangerous. Also, the Minneapolis PD in 2017 released, in Minneapolis, less than 5% of the reported graffiti cases are gang related. Similarly, the IN Gang Network in 2015 released, gang graffiti makes up only 10% of all graffiti reported in the United States. This is a small number. In the grand schemes of things, this is one finger out of your 10 fingers. It's not that much. Another misconception is that graffiti is illegal everywhere. Well, in 2014, the mayor of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil announced the legalization of graffiti on city property that is not on historical grounds. Also, ECMIR in 2016 stated, other innovators in Europe are cities such as Stockholm, Sweden, which passed legalization in 2007 to make Stockholm the city with the most legal walls in Europe. Graffiti is also legal in Venice, California, Paris, France, and Zurich, Switzerland. I'm not saying that graffiti should be everywhere, but it should be done, like in Rio, on designated areas that is not on historical significant grounds. So now that you know that only 10% of graffiti are gang related, who are the other 90%? And what are their motives? So, we should now consider their motives. Firstly, graffiti has been done since ancient times. According to ECMIR in 2016, graffiti has existed since prehistoric times. This is true, because, for example, we've seen the Native American tribes draw their cultural stories on caves, but more importantly, they would typically use their handprints and place them on the wall. Similarly, we can see drawings in public spaces, like the Viking cave of Phi Phi Island in Thailand, where it shows Old Norse mythology and personal battle stories. What this expresses is the notion that they were here and that they made a literal mark on the world. This leads into modern graffiti art, where teens would typically just write their name on any type of surface they could see. They did this in their ghettos, which as a society we think is devoid of culture, and we think that these places can't give back anything to our culture, to our society. They did this so that they could become famous. They did this to become more popular. Because of this, they started to make these grand images like we see today. They tried to make new styles, use bright colors. They used images that typically we do not associate them with ghettos. Graffiti is showing society that these places do have a rich culture. that it can give society something worth looking for. Graffiti is similarly a culture. This brings me to my next point of how graffiti gives cultural contributions for society. Graffiti nowadays is being treated like regular paintings, according to Fellows Brett in 2014. Yet modern graffiti is widely acknowledged as art, has been exhibited in museums and art galleries across the world since its earliest stages. Similarly, Banksy, England-based street artist, graffiti artist, who's one of the most popular graffiti artists in the world, sells his services and his paintings, graffiti paintings, from anywhere between $200,000 to $1 million. So if the art community is trying to promote graffiti and trying to show society that it is culture worth showing us and that it contributes to society, it is an art form. Furthermore, graffiti can promote development. According to Elevedo in 2014, graffiti can be a career opportunity for youth in low-income neighborhoods. He continued on by saying, in the city of Rio de Janeiro, many leading street artists have put graffiti to good use for social development, founding art schools in low-income neighborhoods and partnering with the police to paint murals in rundown areas. They host large events and festivals which bring in tourists. So, if graffiti can be used to improve our society as a way, like in Brazil they do, to bring in tourists, to provide schooling for kids and a career opportunity for kids that typically do not have an opportunity to have a career path, it is valuable and it is an art form. Additionally, graffiti is a part of postmodernism art. So what is postmodernism? Well, according to Ekman in 2016, more of a philosophy than a bona fide movement, postmodernism began to question and critique the arts as a whole. Eng in 2010 said, graffiti challenges the mainstream notions what counts as art. So, in today's world, we are in an art world where we are challenging what we count as art, and graffiti is on the basis of challenging these mainstream notions. Shouldn't we also put graffiti under art in today's language? I think we should, because it is indeed under postmodernism. So now that you know that some of the more artistic cities in the world are accepting graffiti, like the ones I mentioned in the start of my speech, it shows that graffiti is not seen in such a negative light, and that we should accept it as well. All in all, through recognizing the misconceptions, the motives, and the cultural contribution that graffiti has, we can all be an advocate for graffiti art in designated areas in cities. Thank you.